G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Michael, I am the Moto Barista, and here we're talking all things motorcycles and of course, drinking damn fine coffee. Today, I am so excited to share with you my first ride of the 2020 Harley Davidson Street Glide Special. Now, if you saw a couple of videos back, I jumped on my first ever bagger, and that was the Indian Chieftain Dark Horse. Now, after enjoying the experience of being on a bagger so much, I knew that I had to jump on the Harley Davidson Street Glide. This is the bike where it all began. The Street Glide family has so much heritage, going way back to the Electra Glides, bringing out the touring style we see today, best characterized by that beautiful backed wing fairing on the front of the bike. So I'm excited to be on this bike today and giving it a test. Just riding up here, I'm already loving this bike so much. I just love being on a full fairing. I never knew that I would love it so much. Before we get started, quickly, another huge shout out to Kasha at Perth Harley Davidson. Thanks to you and the team for letting me take this bike out for a spin. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to chew up some miles today on this bike. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. To start this off, I think it's worth saying that on this test ride, I've had a little bit less time to stop and give you my thoughts. Now, that's not due to the time restraints. That's actually due to the fact that, well, I haven't wanted to stop riding this thing, seriously. I can say that this bike, the Street Glide Special, is a lot of fun. I want to talk about the performance, I want to talk about the comfort, I also just want to give you my overall impressions of the design itself. So let's kick things off with performance. So of course, this bike is rocking the 114 Milwaukee 8, and after riding a couple of 114s recently, the RDRS and now this bike, the first thing I noticed with the Milwaukee 8 114 is that there's a little bit more shake and vibration at idle, which is actually kind of nice. It has a bit more of that traditional Harley feel that many people miss. I'd also say that the roll-on power is a lot more noticeable. Off the line, it's neither here or there. It's very similar to my Sport Glide, given the power to weight ratio. But where I really notice this bike pull ahead, even over the Sport Glide, is that roll-on speed. So when I'm going, 60, 80 kilometers an hour on the highways and then pulling down on that throttle, this bike just keeps on giving, which is really, really fun. That's probably the best way I could describe the power on this bike. Now, of course, there are faster, more powerful bikes out there, but this is a big bike. It weighs quite a lot. And with that power and with that speed, you feel it a lot more, and it makes a really exciting ride. It really feels great. When I did a stationary start and gave it some real throttle from zero, I felt like I was hanging onto the bars. I felt like I was launching off a roller coaster. It was really, really fun. If you really want to push this bike out, you definitely can. And if you want to sit back and cruise and just let that power roll on when you need it, you can do that as well. That's what makes this engine so great in my opinion. All that power is all well and good, but if the bike can't handle it, then it's a bit useless. And that's always a concern, particularly for riders like me who've predominantly been on small to medium-sized bikes when moving up to these big bagger style. And jumping on this bike, all of those worries were completely removed as soon as I got this bike up and going. It feels really good to ride, and it feels quite nimble. Running through the hills and through the turns up here, I've had a really good time, and I've been able to really open this bike up and feel really confident in the corners. And to be honest, I'm really enjoying it. Of course, it's not going to be like a sports bike or anything else, but you are going to have a really fun time, and that's what this bike's about. It's about having fun. It's not about being the fastest, it's about having the most fun on a motorcycle, and it's definitely doing that for me. What gives me really great confidence with this bike as well are the brakes, particularly those front brakes. You've got dual disc front brakes at the front, and they are Brembo brakes, and they are fantastic. They really bite. They're really, really good. Very similar feeling actually to the Lowrider S I had last week. They feel really solid. So again, coming into those corners with some speed, pulling on that front brake and then getting back on the power is really, really good, and it feels fun, and it gives you a lot more confidence riding a bike like this, and definitely when it comes to riding a bike like this with some speed. Now, suspension wise, this is where I had a little bit of hesitation. Everyone talks about the low travels of those rear shocks and causing the bike to bottom out and be very, very uncomfortable. So far, I haven't had that problem. Now, I'm pretty light. I'm about 75 kilos. I'm not sure what that is in pounds. Future me will post it up here. But yeah, to be honest, I'm not having too much trouble. Now, once I have a pillion passenger on there, and then we start hitting some potholes, maybe the story will change. When I get back on the bike, I'm gonna try and find some potholes in the road and some uneven surface just to see how that rear shock handles. But so far, honestly, it's not as bad as what I was worried it was going to be. This bike predominantly is made for touring, going long distance and traveling the country. I think America and Australia really share large, vast landmass that makes these bikes, I think, just perfect for the kinds of roads that we have. I think traveling the country on a bike like this would be one of the greatest experiences of my life. And well, I'm gonna have to do that one day. But day-to-day riding, this bike is still really great. If you watched this channel before, you know that I only ride a motorcycle. It's my primary form of transportation. I don't own a car, and if there's a storm, well, I'll either be stuck out on my motorcycle or I will be catching public transport. Otherwise, 24/7, I'm on the bike. And this bike is perfect for the only vehicle in my garage. I would have no problem commuting in and out of the city on this bike to work. I'd have no problem throwing my girlfriend on the back and going for a weekend ride. And then of course, taking some extra time to take this bike up and down the coast and really get out and explore. The only thing it takes probably a bit of getting used to is the hydraulic clutch. It feels a little bit heavier than the clutch that's on the Softails, but actually engaging the clutch with the throttle feels really nice. It's just actually holding it in. It's quite heavy and it gets a bit sore. So apart from the clutch feeling a little bit heavy when you're holding on it in traffic, the bike's dead comfy. I would probably change the seat. It's a little bit soft for me, but the shape is really nice. You know me, I don't really like soft seats. That's why I switched to Saddlemen on my Sport Glide, and I would probably do the same here. One thing I would have liked to have seen was sissy bar mounting brackets ready to go on this bike. It is a touring bike after all, but unfortunately that is an extra. Wind protection on this bike is what you'd expect from a big fairing like this. It's fantastic. There's no wind on my arms or body, feels really good. A little bit of air still wrapping around, getting around my face, but it's nothing strong or turbulent. It's just nice, clean, fresh air, probably coming through the vent that's on the front of the fairing. So that's really nice. I'm not getting any wind buffeting as well. Lots of people riding this bike in reviews that I've seen really suffer from wind buffeting on this, and they say that they would get a larger windshield. For me, I'm actually fine. I've been hitting freeway speeds as well on this bike, and I've had no wind buffeting. So for me, it's actually really great. Everybody's different, of course, different heights, different inseams, all this changes the needs that we all need. But for me, the stock system works really well. Obviously wearing a full face helmet is going to help as well. The infotainment system, the Boombox GTS, my first time diving into an infotainment system, and I'm really enjoying just cruising around, listening to some tunes. It's really easy to use. You can either use the touchscreen, which works perfectly with gloves, or using the hand controls to navigate the menus. Either way, I found it very easy. My phone paired up in a couple of seconds and I was good to go. One thing I love about this motorcycle more than anything is just the design of it. It's probably the most beautiful bike on the road. And of course, that's my opinion, but I think I've got the evidence to back it up. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. Of course, the Milwaukee 8 is a beautiful engine as it is, but just the fit and finish of this Street Glide is beautiful. And I've always said that one thing that makes Harley stand out, I believe, is the fit and finish of their bikes. You might argue about their quality, but for me, just every little detail feels premium. The switches, the dials, the buttons, the screen, everything that you touch and hold whilst navigating this motorcycle and moving this motorcycle around feels great. The foot controls, the clutch, the brakes, everything just feels premium. It feels really good to use. Sitting in the cockpit of this motorcycle, and I just feel like a king. It feels so good, like sitting in a beautiful Cadillac. The dials laid out on top with the Boombox GTS system there in the middle, speakers to the sides, built-in mirrors, everything just feels polished. And I think Harley have really mastered what it is to design a touring bike. That is it for me today on the Harley Davidson Street Glide special. Once again, thank you to Perth Harley Davidson for making this happen. If you have any questions about the bike, please leave them in the comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because coming up, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Indian Chieftain versus this Street Glide special and my thoughts on both those bikes and which one I would choose. I also want your opinion. I'm in love with baggers, guys. I'm in love with the full fairing, and in particular, I love the fixed fairing design. I'm not a huge fan of the frame mounted fairings. So, what do you think? How would you feel about seeing me on a Street Glide instead of the Sport Glide? I want to know what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I guess we'll see what happens. All right, until next time, make sure to ride safe, drink some damn fine coffee. I'll catch you next time. Peace.